And my brain is moving at 50% speed, but we're going to close it down with another fun and amazing show to close down an amazing weekend here. My name is Dylan Bowman from Freetrail. I have no co-host here today to help share the burden. That's because Leah Yingling is out on the race course herself right now with her husband, Mike McMonagle, while she's 5 months pregnant. So quick, first, a round of applause for Leah. We did send her a message like, hey, if you finish and you feel compelled, we're going to be live over at the brewery. So who knows? We may get a special guest appearance from Leah and Mike. We are joined by the men's podium here. We'll get to you guys in just a second. Before we do, a couple big thank yous are in order. First and foremost, Gorge's Beer Co., our home for the weekend. For those who are watching on YouTube or listening in the podcast feed, you'll know that we are in a standing room only crowd here at the top floor that we have been occupying for 4 straight days. Gorge's Beer Co. has opened their doors to us as they have for 4 straight years, and we are super, super grateful for that. We're also grateful to our partners at Speedland and Eversecond for making our coverage possible and for making our race possible. And we're especially grateful for the team behind the scenes, Mr. Ryan Thrower, Mr. Jacob Meyer, and Clara Freshner back there. Cheers. Also my wife, Harmony, who it probably will be showing up at some point and who has been a critical member of the team also. I think that's all I need to cover off on here in the intro. Gentlemen, congratulations on an amazing day out there. Ryan's going to pull up a very long clip that our viewers on YouTube are going to enjoy. And I want to kick things off with our men's champion here today. First of all, want to introduce our men's champion, a new course record holder here from Vancouver, Joshua Potvin. Joshua, welcome. Josh, you are going to be a new name to many people here in the Freetrail audience, so maybe you could just spend a couple of minutes introducing yourself.
Yeah, thank you. I'm from Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada. It's a pleasure to come down here to race in the States. It's been on my list to come here and race one of your races. So, but yeah, I come from a road track background and been dabbling in the trails the last 3-4 years. And yeah, I've got the pleasure to race Liam quite a bit. So,
yeah. So what our viewers are watching here is a clip that I managed to gather. This is roughly mile 19, would you say, guys, as we're making our way towards the Cascade Locks aid station here. You guys totally silent, elbow to elbow, as if it's a 5K on the track. Take us into this battle. Liam, you told me that you guys basically spent the entire race together. Just bring us into the dynamic that existed between the two of you.
It's amazing how much you can say to each other without talking at all.
Yes.
Like the mind games, like it was very friendly. Like I saw Josh, I didn't know he was racing. I didn't look at the start lists, but he like smiled at me. We fist bumped before the start. And I think I asked him, I was like, are you fit right now? And he's like, yeah. I was like, all right, let's go. And yeah, it was really nice being with someone for these like longer, like in this moment, asphalt section. And like kind of the mantra for the day was just like, be patient. And I think I was like almost too patient to a fault until I never really got a chance to make a move. The move made me and I crumbled, but with like 5 miles to go. But it was really cool. I feel like we were on the same page mentally. Like no one really made any like hard moves, at least from my POV. And there was a lot of like gentleman's game, like on the pavement sections here, like we would run side by side. Like it was windy, but like I wasn't like tucking behind him or vice versa. I was doing my fair share of tucking on the single track though, I will say.
Yeah.
But
yeah, we'll see you tuck here in just a second.
Yeah, I was like, he can take it again. So yeah, it was, and then you running behind us too is also really cool. Like I felt it was like Adam coming up a few times.
I mean, this is so rad. So unfortunately, our viewers in the audience here at the brewery can't see it, but literally elbow to elbow as you're about to take the right-hand turn onto the single track here where Josh is just going to jump in front of Liam. Josh, tell us your perspective here too, because we got the update. Well, actually, maybe first before we get to where the separation occurred, maybe you could just share your perspective building off what Liam said about these early miles kind of working together. Because like the race or the sport has come to a point now where oftentimes it is like this, sort of shoulder to shoulder, deep into races. So just curious to hear about like the psychology and strategy that's, was on your mind.
Yeah, totally. I feel like the day for me couldn't have been gone as well as it did without having Leah in there and the others to push along. So, we took the lead back and forth pretty much the whole way. So we shared that, especially on the last climb. You took it out on there, and I think that really, really helped me just sit in there and get in a groove. And it ended up being a good day for it.
Yeah. All right, so I want to hear from both of you. The critical moment of separation. We got the update from the turnaround point on the east half of the course saying that you guys were still together. So we were expecting fireworks in the race, which we definitely got. But as I was saying, the races now, it used to be, as I was coming up in the sport, that they would just be like somebody sort of faded a little bit. And now it's like intentional moves kind of have to be made in order to break the elastic, especially on an athlete like Liam. So maybe, Josh, we could start with you. Take us into that moment where you were able to gain that gap. And then, like, what do you do after that?
Yeah, I guess coming up to the turnaround point, we were pretty much together the whole way on that climb. In my head, I was just thinking, I hope he's as tired as I am. And I was like, I'm going to make my move on the descent. I just felt like I was running a little bit better on the downhills today. I was just noticing that throughout the day. So I was like, okay, I'm going to put a surge on the downhill after the turnaround and see if I can drop a bit. And then once I noticed I did that, it was kind of like open from there.
Liam, your turn. Tell us about that moment.
Yeah, you were definitely running the downhills a little bit better. I felt a little stronger on the climbs today. And like with the last 10K being primarily downhill, that got me good. The 50K it's still like a new distance to me. Like it's truthfully like out of my wheelhouse. This is my second one. I'm training to run like an hour. And so it's just a different like pain threshold where it's not like, oh, I'm going lactic, I need to like fight through this. It's like, oh, like, why is my back killing me?
Yeah.
Like, why is like, it's just things go wrong that I don't experience as much in training. And today it was that. And like, in my head, I'm like, let's push. But it's like, there's that invisible wall you can't push through. And it's a beautiful thing at the same time. And you fight and sometimes you lose.
Yeah. Still ran the third fastest time ever. I feel like this is a good time to bring Adam into the conversation. Adam, you were the 100K champion here at Gorge last year. You were a late drop down from the 100K into the 50K this year. Maybe you could just share a little bit about that decision, why you dropped down to the shorter distance race, and then build off what these guys are saying just in terms of that early pack dynamic. Because when I saw you guys at the Ainsworth aid station, you were tucked in there with these two. So maybe just talk about the race from your perspective when they were able to break off from you.
Yeah, I obviously had a pretty incredible experience last year and knew I'd be back. I wasn't honestly planning on coming back this year. And then I saw it was the World's qualifier, and that was a goal of mine I wanted to be at. It just didn't make sense with the winter I had with training to be in that field. And yeah, I did wait till the very last minute because part of me was like, I don't want to be that guy that has to switch and then doesn't even race. So
Yeah.
I want to make sure I was going to race. But the 50K was, it was a rust buster for sure, but in my expectations were, I want to put myself in the field and see what would happen. But I also knew that I wasn't coming in with the fitness I had last year, nor anywhere near the leg speed these guys have. So I was pretty psyched that it started with a big climb. That was comfy. We were moving, but I was like, all right, I can do this. And we had a group of 5 charging up and then down that climb. That was quite the contrast from the year before, like the pace we were running down.
Yeah. And that's a tricky little section there.
Yeah. So it was fun. These guys split off. They were super quick at the first aid station. And then we didn't see them until the road, and they were a bit ahead, but you're on the road, you can see. It was like, all right, maybe I can pull him back ran maybe a quarter mile at maybe sub 6 and was like, I'm not taking back any time on these guys. This is not happening. So I just I had a little bit of gap, and which ended up being that way. Fourth place, Matthew
Yep.
was nipping at my heels the whole time. So that kept me running scared.
Michael, actually.
Michael.
Yep.
And yeah, definitely kept me motivated. I was excited to see these guys at the turnaround. I was pretty confident they were going to be duking it out pretty far ahead.
And they were still together?
They were. It was just split when I saw them.
Well, one of the things I think is interesting here, which you're reminding me, is kind of the interesting cast of characters here. Josh just said he comes from sort of a track road background. Liam, I know, is the same. You very much don't. So you're sort of like a different athlete. Share a little bit about that with the audience, and also just like what your winter looks like, because I know it's quite different from these guys.
Yeah, so I live outside of Park City, Utah. I run our ski jumping and ski mountaineering programs for our local club. So I'm on skis a lot, some of the time skiing, some of the time working, a lot of the time working, as it turned out this winter. And yeah, having these early season races is super motivating to run through the winter. And I did what I could, but I mean, this week alone was my biggest running week, with just running a 50K and a little bit during the week. So 100K, I think, would have been a shock to the system.
Yeah.
But the year-round training and fitness is there. Just got to find the speed, and maybe spend a little extra time on the road and the track would probably do me some favors.
Yeah. Josh, I'm not that familiar with your racing history on the trails, you know, how many times you've done a 50K, but coming here and breaking Chris Meyer's course record, which was only a year old, I think you lowered it by about 2 minutes. Super fast. I mean, it must give you a sense of confidence or impact the way you view yourself and what you might do in the future. Is there anything there that would be interesting?
Yeah, today was definitely I had my eye on that course record. I came to that race. That was my goal, to win and get the CR. I used his Strava as a tool. But okay, how do you do it? And like many of us all do when we have Strava, which is great. Next up for me, I've been mostly on the trails now. I was at Chuckanut last year, finished 4th.
Right.
I was on the Canadian Worlds team in Innsbruck, and I'm going back in Spain in September. And so
Short trail again?
Short trail, yeah, the 50K.
Great.
So I've been running anything from, the 25 to 50K.
Yeah.
It's kind of been my sweet spot, so sticking in that range for now.
Very much like my guy, Leah Myro, although it's a little bit different. I mean, what was it? This was your second 50K, right?
Yeah, second 50K. I did the Daybreak Y-East 50K 2 summers ago, summer 2023, and just this was a huge improvement, and I'm trying to take grace in the improvement of sport and not just always making my decisions based off of wins.
Yeah.
And I raced Alex King at that one, and I remember getting impatient 8 miles in, and I think I made a 5-minute gap, but then I had to walk for 10K of that race. And so not having to walk at all and still holding it together was a huge improvement, and I think is a win for the toolkit.
What do you think, though, now after doing the 30K here twice? This is your best 50K and only your second 50K, running the third fastest time ever. Same question as Josh. What are you thinking about your career? Because I feel like you could do a number of different things also.
Yeah, I mean, the people want me to go longer.
Yeah.
But, I still feel there's I have to kind of sweeten up to this the longer stuff, because it is a different mindset, and I still love that that raw red line energy, and like I said earlier, I never got to even experience that today, and it's other things fold first. But I mean, I met you, Debo, 2 years ago today. In the 30K was when I first re-entered into the trail scene after running a little bit in high school, but taking that track pipeline after high school. So I'm still young in the sport, and I'm not going to say I'm never going to run a Western States, but it's I know I'm not even close to being there right now. But that's exciting, because it's there's all these levels in this sport that's not even I'm not even comprehending right now. And when it comes, it'll come and it'll be a great thing.
And this is the end of our clip here as you guys exit the Cascade Locks aid station.
Give it up for Debo
I
following us for like
13 minutes.
3 miles.
13 minutes. But be more specific. What are you doing this season?
Oh, so I'm doing a road half in 3 weeks up in his land in Vancouver, which is kind of like an oxymoron of a season build. Like I should have maybe done that a month ago, but this was the longest I've gone without a race in my entire running career. Last time I raced was December. And so I kind of took a chance there. I've been experimenting with some higher volume. And that was really what today was like, let's see how that training has paid off. And I think the result was in the positive. So doing a fast road half, and then I'll run Sunapee Scramble in New Hampshire to try and make the world team again in the classic distance, which is like, that's my bread and butter. It's 9 miles. It's an hour long.
The
The up down. So yeah, it's 2 loops. It's basically like the North Nasty for those that are local to Portland. So that, and then Broken Arrow, and then kind of June 1st will determine my season. Hopefully go back to Worlds, run some Golden Trail stuff. Maybe pop into a UTMB race, the full spectrum.
Heck yeah. Loomis, what are you doing this season, buddy?
I'm pretty excited about the return of Twisted Forks with
Nice.
Finn Melanson at the helm. He hit me up last fall, and I was like, yeah, why not do my local race? And he sent me the men's field at the time, and it was like there's 10 guys that could break that course record.
Nice.
So that'll be cool. After that, I'm not totally sure. Yeah, hopefully some UTMB races, maybe Speed Goat, because Utah is the most competitive race. Although, I don't know, I just did a 50K. That one's a really, really hard 50K, so I'll have to give that a little time.
That one's so hard.
Yeah. Yeah, I haven't totally nailed it down yet,
Cool.
but I'm sure I'll probably just trend towards a little bit longer stuff.
Awesome. All right, so just to provide some statistics here. Again, Josh Potvin, our new course record holder, finishing in a time of 3 hours, 49 minutes, 30 seconds. Round of applause. Again, only 3 minutes back in the third fastest time ever. Leah Myro, 3 hours, 52 minutes, 40 seconds. Fast, fast, fast. And third place, rounding out the podium, Adam Loomis in 4 hours, 7 minutes, 38 seconds. Congratulations, all three.
Thanks, Dylan.
Appreciate you guys coming to our race. I know you have a lot of options in your career. It means a lot that you would come to Gorge. We appreciate it. Hope you come back at some point. So, final round of applause for the men's podium here. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Steve.
Now we're going to bring up the women's podium. Yeah.
Thank you, guys. Thanks for bearing with me. My brain is like not working at all.
I had wipes.
Sorry. Okay. Welcome back to our post-race show. Wrapping up the 50K here, joined by the women's podium, introducing them in order. Our new champion here at the Gorge Waterfalls 50K from Trout Lake, Washington, Sarah Alabin joins us here. Next, Sarah, somebody I'm just meeting for the first time here today from Fort Collins, Colorado, Taylor Bacon. Taylor, welcome back. Yeah. And my good friend from Seattle, Washington, in third place today, Christina Randrup. Big round of applause. Our great producer, Ryan's going to be pulling up a clip here, I think, of Sarah at an important moment in the race. Sarah, maybe first and foremost, again, this is your first time on the Freetrail platform. We'd love if you would just share a little bit about your background, your story. I know you've come to a couple of our races and you're a regular in the Daybreak portfolio, but maybe you could just say a few words about yourself and your experience in the sport.
Sure, yeah. I'm still fairly new to the sport, just a couple years in. I'm originally from Ohio, where there aren't isn't too much trail running, not too mountainous there. But moved to the Gorge a couple years ago, and I live in a tiny town at the base of Mount Adams called Trout Lake, about 45 minutes northeast of here. And have just really fallen in love with it since. And I feel like I still have a lot to learn, but it's been a joy to really learn the sport and adventure around this area.
What brings somebody from Ohio to Trout Lake, Washington?
It's a great question. Curiosity.
Yeah.
Went to school in Minnesota and then ended up moving out here for an AmeriCorps position, and then found a job in the middle of nowhere and took it.
No way. Cool. All right. So our viewers are watching you here. One of the highlights of all three of our race courses, this being the crossing of the Aloha Falls Creek here. And again, shout out to Claire Freshner for getting this great clip here for our audience. This is a highlight moment that the video doesn't fully capture the power of the falling water and the movement of the creek and the sharpness of those rocks, but a beautiful, beautiful section of the course. You won in wire-to-wire fashion today. When I saw you at the Ainsworth Aid Station, you had probably a 90-second lead at that point, only 8 miles into the race. Talk us through the strategy leading into it. What was on your mind as you had a gap early on in the race?
I don't think there was too much strategy, to be honest. I took off at the start and was a little nervous. I'm not super comfortable being in the lead, but just had to trust in the pace that I was running and felt comfortable, and just kind of went from there. And the message to myself was just kind of a steady effort throughout the race, and just would see what happened from there. But yeah, I don't know if that's a strategy, but that's what happened.
I'm remembering, did you run Black Canyon earlier this year?
I did, yeah. It was not the day I wanted, so it was really nice to feel good wire to wire in this race, and just really enjoy the trails and the scenery. And
That's why I asked, because that's obviously a monster race, so a world-class event. And oftentimes if a day doesn't go as you plan it to go, or how it might unfold in your dream scenario, you go back to the drawing board, you learn things, sometimes it can touch your confidence a little bit. How'd you bounce back from Black Canyon and build the momentum towards Gorge?
It was honestly a pretty long recovery from that. I totally busted my quads, and it took probably a month and a half to feel normal again.
Yeah.
In the past couple of weeks, I've really just found more joy and enjoyment in running again, and that has really helped. But I only did get like a few good weeks of training before this race, but I knew the trails. I really love this area, and I was just kind of going on that and just trying to find joy in racing again. And I'm not naturally a competitive person or someone who really loves racing, so I wanted to use this race to really try to celebrate the training that I have done and just appreciate where I am and the people around me and the amazing people in the sport.
So awesome. I love that spirit. Taylor, also new name to me and the first time here on the Freetrail platform. Would love if you would just introduce yourself a little bit.
Yeah, thanks. I am from Fort Collins, Colorado. Ran in college, so like track, cross country, and then kind of stopped running for a couple years and just got back into it in 2022 maybe, when I moved to Fort Collins. Really incredible trail community there, as you can see from our turnout
The
here.
crew, yeah.
And yeah, just really fell back in love with running and with racing, and yeah, it's been great.
Yeah, so as you were finishing, I think you were part of the group where there was like 4 Fort Collins runners in a row, weren't you?
Yeah.
So I was like, what the heck? There must be like some sort of conspiracy. And it turned out that there was a big group that planned the trip out here. Tell us about the running community you have there in Fort Collins, how you guys decided to come target Gorge as a collective.
Yeah, I think we just are all very open to suggestions and our friends. And I think somebody was like, we should go run Gorge. And we're like, great. And now we have a house with 10 people all running Gorge this weekend. So yeah, it was awesome.
Thank you so much for coming.
Yeah.
All right, so your race was also fantastic. Clara, was the one that was sort of following the women's race, so I didn't get a chance to really understand the dynamic, but as we mentioned, Sarah was kind of out front. How are things evolving behind Sarah? I did see you guys early, like around mile 8, and you were in the mix, but there was a bunch of women sort of packed up within a minute or two of each other. What was going on in that chase group?
Yeah, I think I was probably 25 or 30 to the top of the hill. Like, I decided to start really conservatively. I'm typically a pretty conservative racer. And it wasn't until about halfway that I was like, okay, it's time to go and start picking people off. And I think I came into that aid station at mile 15 in like 6th or 7th, and then just kept finding women and trying to not fall apart, which is always like, it felt like I was running just on the edge of like, okay, like, am I going to blow up? But was able to keep it together.
So this clip that we're watching now, I think, is of you running towards the Cascade Locks aid station, if I'm not mistaken. Was at this point, where were you sitting in the field? Had you already moved up into second place?
I think I was in 3rd at this point, yeah. And it was so fun being on the out and back and seeing all of my friends coming back and just all the energy from everybody else on the course. I think this out and back stretch would have been really hard without that. So that was a cool feature of the course.
Awesome. Christina,
Hi.
you ran the 30K on Friday and doubled back here in the 50K like
I
a
did.
psychopath. Hold on, I don't have the 30K results in front of me. Were you 4th?
I was 5th.
5th in the 30K, now
Yeah.
3rd in the 50K. Tell the folks about like making the decision to target 2 races this weekend. What was the strategy behind it?
Yeah, that was a decision. I am running Miwok in May in a couple weeks, and I really wanted a 50K under my legs. I haven't raced a trail race since December, so I really wanted to like get an ultra in, but the 30K also sounded really fun. So I couldn't really decide, and I emailed you and I was like, hey, can I do both? And you said, yeah, sure. You're crazy, but go for it. And it was just like a really good, like, big training stimulus. And my like legs didn't feel, the downhill, like the final descent, when you come off, like, you know, you go like up and down. In the 30K, I like fully sent that descent, and then like my quads weren't destroyed. So I was like, okay, I have some legs left for Sunday, and we'll see what I can do. And
So
yeah, felt
share
pretty
some of
good.
the practical stuff though. So you rip a 30K on Friday. Saturday, I know you were out and about watching the action in the 100K. So is there anything specific that you were doing to like maybe help with a quick dose of recovery before you pin the bib back on?
No. I probably stood around more on Saturday than I should have. But I did like a nice easy shakeout on Saturday morning, and then like we went to bed early, but I probably should have done less.
Yeah. This has become more and more of a trend though, where even top athletes will do 2 races in one weekend, usually as like sort of a training stimulus. As you said, you're sort of building towards Miwok now. Was there anything that influenced you that other athletes were doing that made you feel like this would be a good way to prepare for a longer race?
When I was training for my first 50 miler in 2019, I was coaching myself at the time, and the one piece of advice I got was like back-to-back long runs. And sometimes it's hard, you know, it can sometimes be hard to push yourself when you're out of a race. So I thought like getting into good hard efforts in a weekend and overall high volume would be fun. And I also just like, I love being at the Gorge races. I love Daybreak. Like, you guys are awesome. So like spending a whole weekend down here just seemed like a no-brainer.
How does the body feel now after 2 races?
I feel good. I felt really good today. Brain is a little fried,
Me too.
but but I feel really good.
Yeah. Sarah, back to you. One of the comments in the chat here was admiring your Terragnota hoodie, and your friend and neighbor, Alex King, is here in the audience. Maybe say a few words about this fun local brand, because I saw a bunch of product out on the course, and Alex and I had a great time to chit-chat all about it as he's working on an awesome project.
Yeah, well, first, I would highly recommend it. Worked well today. I really, really love the product. It's super well made. And the whole idea behind it is to make trail running more accessible, and specifically performance trail running more accessible to a broader audience. So the profits that are made at the brand really all go into making high performance gear at an accessible price point. Yeah. So really support what Alex is doing, and it worked super well on the trail as well.
Alex, we got to do like a full podcast to tell the whole story of what you're working on, but it's awesome. And I told Alex today, I mean, there's a ton of the product out on the course too. So off to a good start. Tell the people where they might be able to see you race next. What are your plans for the 2025 season?
The only thing I have on the calendar is Y East Wonder 50 miler and potentially Y East Trail Fest as well. So
Cool.
around Hood.
Yeah.
I'm also just kind of still figuring out what my place is in trail running, and I love kind of self-driven efforts like FKTs. So hoping to do a lot more of that this summer.
That's really interesting, I think, because both those races that you mentioned, for those who are unfamiliar, are very much local races, you know, and you're here at Gorge Waterfalls, which for you is a local race, right? In trail running right now, there are so many opportunities to travel the world, to do this and that. It seems like you're making an intentional decision to, I mean, obviously you just won the Gorge Waterfalls 50K in an amazing wire-to-wire performance. You will have options to go do other events. How are you thinking about where and how to set goals?
It's a big question. For now, I'm still fairly new to this area, and I love exploring it. And there's so many local races I haven't done yet, so I'm just kind of taking the time to do that. And then, as I mentioned, I'm not a naturally confident or comfortable racer, so I'm still kind of getting my legs under me and seeing if it's something I really enjoy, and then maybe moving out and doing some bigger races like Black Canyon and others in the future.
Not a confident racer. Holy smokes. Oh, here's a clip of you running down towards your great championship finish here. Taylor, maybe same question to you. Obviously, this must be a confidence-boosting performance. It might open up new doors of opportunity, or it might give you a different sense of where you want to devote your energies. How are you thinking about your season and your future in the sport?
I'm running my first 100-miler this summer, so
Where?
I'm running High Lonesome.
Let's
I got into the
go.
lottery. Yeah, so terrifying, so excited, but that's the only other thing I have on my calendar right now. So, yeah, a couple of good months up in the mountains prepping for that.
Yeah, so talk about that. Obviously, coming off this big second place performance, it's also a big fitness test, fitness validation. Later on in the summer, when the snow starts melting, how does the training transition as you target High Lonesome, which for our audience here is very much a mountain race as opposed to sort of a coastal runnable race?
Yeah, I the last couple of years have kind of done a speed block over the winter and then transitioned more towards bigger mountain runs in the summer. So this was a kind of perfect trail cap off of the more speed block. And then the average elevation of High Lonesome is like 10,600 or something. So as soon as things melt out, the plan is to get up high and spend a lot of big days in the mountains.
Yeah. Well, I've heard that's a spectacular course, a spectacular race. So good luck to you there. Christina, you said Miwok is next. What are your plans beyond?
After Miwok, I'm currently registered for the Mont Blanc Marathon 90K, but that's going to be kind of decided on how Miwok goes, how I feel afterwards, if I recover well. Some mountain playtime in the summer, and I'll go to Kodiak 100K to try to get into CCC for next year. Probably throw in a handful of local or smaller races here and there. I just like to race.
Yeah, you do like to race.
I really like to race. So I'll probably throw on a few more on the schedule. Submitted my application to Worlds, but who knows?
Yeah. Awesome.
But yeah, Kodiak would be my fall goal for
So
CCC.
what distance will you apply for the Worlds team?
I applied for the long trail.
Long trail. Okay, great. Awesome. All right, so like we did for the men, I'm just going to do some quick statistics here. Again, Sarah Alabin, our winner here today, 4 hours, 38 minutes, 44 seconds. Big round of applause. Second place, Taylor Bacon, 4 hours, 46 minutes, 25 seconds. Congratulations. And in third place, Christina Randrup, 4 hours, 52 minutes, 46 seconds. Your women's podium here, the Gorge Waterfalls 50K. Thank you guys for coming to our race. Like I said to the men, I know you guys have options, and we appreciate you coming here and enjoying Gorge, and we hope you'll come back someday. Thank you. Round of applause. We're going to do a quick impromptu sentimental closing here. I'm going to call my good friend Andrew Faulkner to the stage. This is a personal story here that I think will be fun for the audience as we wrap up our Gorge Waterfalls coverage.
I should be interviewing you.
Is he in a good spot, Rye?
Am I in a good spot? Great spot. Perfect.
This is one of my best buddies in the world and college roommate, Andrew Faulkner, who ran his first 100K yesterday.
No podium,
Yeah.
so
No
bit
podium.
disappointed.
Yeah, barely. Adam Peterman barely clipped you at the tape by
Barely,
6
barely,
hours, was it?
barely, yeah.
You got under 14.
Under
It was
14,
proud.
under 14.
Proud. Anyway, like I said, Andy and I lived together in college, and Ryan's going to pull up a hilarious photo for our YouTube audience here because this is the beginning of my running career.
This is Dylan Bowman's origin story. Which I don't think you've discussed to your Freetrail audience.
Tell the people. Look at the photo on the screen here. We'll show you guys in a second. But
Dylan Bowman was a club level collegiate lacrosse player. Everybody thought, I think everybody, you were top tier in the CSU club level, but I don't know if I gave it as much respect as that may have deserved. And I was pretty confident in myself that I was a much faster person than you. Unassuming, bit tall, gangly, and so we made a bet outside of a bar in 2007.
2008, May 28th, 2008. Isn't that what you said?
Was that it? Yeah, yeah. That I could beat you in a barefoot, no shirt race, bar to bar.
So to set the stage here for our Fort Collins crew here.
This is Fort Collins.
We were at Sullivan's. Does that still exist?
I don't know.
It was just down the street from CB and Potts, which also doesn't exist anymore.
Oh, man.
Both gone. Dang it. Well, maybe we put him out of business.
Yes.
It's probably 1 o'clock in the morning. Faulkner challenges me to a race. We take off our shoes, take off our shirts, kick off our shoes, and we go toe to toe through the streets of Fort Collins like a couple of irresponsible young lads. And now here we are, hosting a big event. You running your first 100K, me being the race director.
You being the race director.
And it all started there.
It gave you the confidence that you bested me to know that you could make a career of running.
Yes.
You're faster than me.
I owe it all to you, buddy. And I'm so glad you came here to do your first 100K. Before we sign off, give us a shout out to your boy Mal here.
Yeah.
Because you came down in the golden hour to cheer on your buddy from Australia who came all the way.
Mal flew in from Australia.
Yeah.
Pulled in right at the last second. Little late drama.
He was literally dead last through Cascade Locks inbound.
They let him through Cascade Locks 10 minutes after the cutoff. But then you pulled ahead 4, so you kind of but
he disappointed us by being fourth to last instead of dead last.
But no, appreciate it.
Yeah.
It was good. It was good coming here.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm so glad you're here, buddy. I'm so glad we could share the origin story.
I'm glad. Now everybody knows. They know that it started
almost 20 years ago. Who would have known that a race at 1 o'clock in the morning would have led to this? But that's
right.
The miracle of life. As we sign off here, I want to just give a few big thank yous. First and foremost, again, to Gorge's Beer Co., who opened their door to us all of race weekend. This becomes HQ for 5 days, and we super appreciate it. If you're ever in Cascade Locks, please do visit Gorge's Beer Co. They are amazing people, and it's a fantastic facility. In fact, just outside here is a beautiful sunny deck where you can have a frosty cold one and a nice lunch on a spring or summer day. Also, a big thank you, of course, to the team behind the scenes, Ryan Thrower and Jacob Meyer. If we could please give them a round of applause also. Clara in the back and my wife Harmony, who are massive contributors to the team. I guess no Leah. She's not going to make it to the studio here today, but proud of her for charging through the race course here today while being 5 months pregnant on a baby moon with her husband, Mike McMonigal. And finally, a big thank you to you all for also coming to our race and for coming here to watch the shows today and throughout the weekend. For the entire team, Daybreak, Freetrail, Gorge, etc., gratitude. We'll see you guys next time. Peace out.
Yeah! Let's go! Nice.